Wednesday today. It feels like it's been a long day. Somehow this time took a long time to get here. Had lots to do at work today, and lots of dumb stuff. Stuff that I thought was all sorted, turns out isn't sorted. Lots of people have changed their minds, and there were meetings about meetings about meetings. Hi. And so I'm a little bit kind of out of whack today, but we are here to make some lace, and well, this is where we got to. Now, I don't know about you, but that looks closer than normal. And I'm not entirely sure why. Because I'm fairly sure, that you normally could see kind of here, and you can see the bottom of my hands moving, but you can't really see it. Let me do this with my camera a bit. That's more like it. Right. Ah. Gotta get my foot under the table because I need to sit a bit squarer at it. No, I don't need help, dog. No, what part of no was unclear on that. Wretched animals. My dogs have some uniquely annoying qualities, and one of them is that they enjoy licking things. Now, I'm not talking the obvious things like your cup that you've had a drink in or a plate that you had food on, because, well, there's a level of logic for that. I'm talking more of my jumper. Oh no! What's wrong with the little black one? Poor little kitties. Oh, hello, dog. Dog, you've had lots of hugs for the last 3 hours. Get off now. Off. Off. So while you tell me what is wrong with the poor little kitty, I'm going to start wiggling some bobbins about the place. Because, well, I'm definitely easily sidetracked at the moment. Oh, I know I was going to show you guys. You know, the other day I said about trying to get used to the heavier bobbin. So, I am making a third one to attach. I attached it the wrong bloody way up. I'm really good at this, but oh no. Whatever. I mean, let's face it, they're not around to be upset by the misgendering. Oh. So what symptoms have you got for poor little kitty? What signs has he got? I mean, I know he wasn't well, but what seems to be additionally wrong with poor little kitty? Ooh, that's gotta hurt, dude. I'm gonna start smacking! I threaten them a lot with it. It doesn't happen, but get tempted sometimes. Poor little soul. Oh, that's so gotta hurt. Hey, Bailey. Bailey is my man, reminding me to do my bins. My hero. Because I suck. And then I fell asleep. I did do my bins, but I then fell asleep. So, not your poor pants, poor little man. I remember when Charlie was ill, before he died. So just for those who don't know, Charlie did make a ripe old age. So, but he got megaesophagus, and They didn't give me any real advice on what to do for him. So the one thing I did do for him probably was the one wrong thing. Of course, isn't that always the way? Because he would aspirate his food, so I would kind of lift his back legs to make sure that the food had, time to pop. Apparently that's not what you need to do. You need to sit them up. I didn't know that. And I mean, I had heard of dogs being in like little chairs for things, but I hadn't heard that was why, if that was what makes sense. Anyway, I ended up in absolute tears because he needed to take pills for, kind of antibiotics and stuff, and he got fed up with it. Not too surprising. I mean, if someone, mum sticks her fingers down your throat every day, you're not going to give it hacked off with it. And it was like, but I need you to take this. This is saving your life. You need to do this. So we changed over to injections that, for whatever reason, caused more problems almost than they solved. I mean, it solved the coughing and the rest of it because he wasn't getting the infections, but he ended up with ulcers like this big on his back that were weeping pustules. So he went into surgery, they chopped them out, they cleaned them up, and he got a bit of an infection in it, and he's wearing a little life jacket, and I came and, I had to leave him occasionally, go to work kind of thing, and I came home one day and I noticed that the life jacket, let's just say, was dripping. So I didn't take it off, obviously. I ran down the vet with him, and it's like, we need to have it, he needs to have a bit of a look over and a washout or something. Needs an antibiotic or something. And the vet was like, can we open the window? Dude, I just had to drive here in the car. What do you mean you need to open a window? Dude, you wuss. But yeah. And they were like, oh, well, we need to do that. I need to inject him round the base of this. And I went, he'll let you. And they were like, oh, no. And I went, he will let you. He knows when stuff is good for him. And he was such a good boy about all of it. And I still miss him. I do see lots of Charlie in Rory, funnily enough. But Rory doesn't like his claws being cut, so Rory can be a little bit more painful in some respects because, long kind of nails on a dog, it can be a bit painful, but mind you, not that long nails on a cat ain't painful either. So it is kind of sad for me because I do see Charlie and Rory, and it reminds me just how good Charlie really was. I mean, don't get me wrong, as a small puppy he was a little shit, but once he got to about the 1 year mark, he was awesome. He was the most well behaved, nicest, wonderful dog. You could trust him with anything. These two, they're 5. I still can't entirely trust them with anything. Which is kind of bad, really. Normally, round about by the age of 3 and they've reached adulthood, you can trust them. Not these two. These two have been very resilient to that. So, it always makes me sad when animals are ill because they can't tell us whether it's better or not. They can't tell us about side effects. They can't, and so unless it's really bad, quite often you won't see it. They'll hide it, they'll mask it. They mask things that are wrong with them, like Fiona did. And you're left sitting there kind of going, if you'd said something, if you'd, showed me any signs, and they hide it till they can't hide it no more. And by the time they've shown it, it's quite often almost too late. And you're like, but I wouldn't have let it get this far if you'd shown me any sign. I mean, Fiona, for example, had cancer. And she had cancer of her pelvic region to the point, although she had her yearly checkups and, they didn't see anything wrong with her, it turned out that when she died, I'd spotted something was wrong with her. So I took her to the vet and they groped around and looked about and went, well, the first vet went, oh, she's got arthritis. And I kind of went, I don't think so. But they were insistent, so I kind of went, okay. I disagree, but okay, they said, take this, you'll feel better in 2 weeks. 2 weeks later, she was bloody worse. Took her back. The next vet took one look at her and went, no, it's not. Excuse me. Animal! And then when when they went to do an x-ray to find out how bad it was, most of her stomach cavity was full of a tumour. There'd been no signs of it until she'd started limping and it had swollen and gone round her hip. And, they kind of went, she's got about a month to live. 2 weeks later, she was done. Which, really unfortunate timing for me, because I couldn't take time off work and spend it with her. And so, I was sitting there going, well, all you got to do is, she had to survive till the 1st of August. And then the thing we were doing at work would be over. And I'd kind of said to her, irrelevant of what happens at work, after the 1st of August, I will dedicate far more time with you that is, deemed reasonable by my employer. And she died. She died on the 1st of August, so she never got to have that extra time. I never got to carry her places and, to kind of do last travels or anything. She woke up one morning and she wanted out. She was done, and it was the most heartbreaking thing, because of course it was all during COVID as well. It absolutely broke me. I mean, it's part of the reason I couldn't foster is that I'd get too attached to him. I wouldn't be able to give him up. I'd want to keep them all. is wrong with you two? I do not need doggety assistance. No, I really don't. I really, really, really don't need your help. You've been fed and everything. You did. You did get fed. Actually, no, I didn't. That's what this is all about. Get off me. I don't feed the dogs yet. That's what it's about. I got the dog food from Tesco's. I didn't feed them yet. Oh dear. I may have to go and do that. I have to go and do that. Because they're hungry. My dogs usually know better than to ask for food, though. Finish adjusting these bobbins, and then I will quickly go dash and feed the starving, hard done by animals. Back in a minute. Back again. Right. Dogs now have food. Hopefully they will leave me alone. Stop trying to maul me. This one's not twiddling. think it's going under the glue. It's going under the glue. Might have to glue that one up a bit more. I'm gonna get back under my table. There we go. You come undone. You just come undone. I watched you. Stop it. Stop being annoying, bobbins. It's one of the few things that puts me off this hobby, is the faffing about with bobbins. Not the moving of the bobbins, the making it longer, making it shorter, making it longer again because now it's too short. Oh, now it's too long, now it's too short. Now this one's decided to drop the knot that is supposed to be a very good knot, only it's not a good knot because it keeps coming undone for me. My heating's kicked in. That doesn't feel right, it's because it's not. literally, I just put you back together. I'm rapidly proving I do not have the patience for this. Excuse me. Hey Nick Kessa, how you doing? Fair enough. I, of course, have the other problem in that it's 8:30 and I'm dead on my feet. Um, but as we've discussed previously in these things, I know that if I was, even whether I slept or not now, so let's say I wasn't streaming and I fell asleep, I would sleep like the dead right now. But even if I don't, come about 10 o'clock, my brain goes, ping, I'm awake now, and can't sleep till like 2, 3 in the morning. And that leaves me absolutely knackered because I'm not getting enough sleep. So I definitely need to sort that out, really. Not quite sure how, but there we go. When I used to get like this before, the doctor would give me literally a couple of sleeping pills, and I would take one the first night and I would sleep like the dead, and then the next night I'd take one at the same time and sleep like the dead, and my body would now do this forever, for a long time to come. It's almost like tracking on your car. It starts off good, slowly veers away, and it kind of logarithmically builds up and eventually I trail off. And I need resetting back on the middle. And, well, they don't do those anymore. Oh, it's not advised. I don't care how advised it is. It really used to work for me. And I know you're not allowed to, the problem is they were addictive. But I only ever ate like two. So, hardly addictive. Hardly a hardcore addict going to OD on them, because you can eat two in one go and that's still considered a normal dose. So can we not, I do need to get an early night. Absolutely. Done the pin, silly cow. Right. Oh, excuse me. Oh dear. I hate it when I get the yawns. No, idiot. Three, four, five. Hello. What does Doggeth want now? Does he want to say thank you for his dinner? Does Doggeth feel happy now? Happy now? Oh, you is a good boy. Oh. You are annoying though. I love you dearly, but I'm trying to do something. I am. No, I don't want to be licked. I told you that already today. Although the heating's kicked in and I'm feeling a bit warmer now. It's kind of sad the heating kicked in, but the heating's kicked in. Isn't it? You're a good boy. Yes, you are. Did you enjoy your dinner? I think you did. You're going to go sleepy because you've got full belly. Aren't you? Humps. Humps, it says. You never feel bad, little man. No, it's sleepy time. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. You're sleepy. You're not helping me do my thing, though. No. No, you're not. Hey? Now, Pop. My super pup, aren't you? Yes, you are. Come on. You sleeps now. Yes, you sleeps now. I don't want to be licked. I don't. Rory, you're already in the middle of my lap. You can't get any more in the middle of my lap. Because you're in the middle. Stop licking whatever that is. Stop licking everything. Annoys the shit out of me, you know that. Don't need my blankets, jumper, trousers licked. I'm tired of sitting on this couch and feeling like I sat in a wet patch. Usually because I am. Now, it might be because you've licked the cushion. It might be because you licked the couch. It could be that you licked me. Can you just not, my friend? Because you are very loved. But you don't need to lick everything. Come on. Off we go now. Come on. Fuck's sake, bobbins. I shuffle this forward a little bit. Yep. Shuffle forward a bit. And a bit more because you can't see it still. We've got quite a bit coming out the back now, look. We've got to a point where this is all sticking out the back now. So that's a good thing. Hello, welcome to the channel. Feel free to ask any questions you like. Okay, well, the truth be told is, it's not hard. Like everything, well, there are a lot of videos on YouTube. Now, there are many types of lace making, but pretty much, thanks for the follow, realistically, lace making is made up of 2 moves. And if you bear with me, I'll get to the end of doing this and I will explain. You do not need fancy equipment. You can want fancy equipment, and hell yeah, that's going to be a thing. But the truth of it all is that you don't need a lot. One of my favourite lace pillows is actually a polystyrene lid from a cooler box. And there's a company over here who sell frozen Cornish pasties, and it's the box the Cornish pasties came in. And it is nothing more than that. So lace making is made of 2 moves, the cross and the twist. Generally you have 2 pairs of bobbins. The cross is you lift the left thing over the right thing. Yeah, the proper Cornish pasties are a great thing. Ginsters are not it. Twist is right thing over left thing. It's a bit like knit and purl, except that there aren't different angles and loops to play with. You either left over right or right over left. And combinations, multiples thereof. It kind of is, that's it. You follow the pretty picture on the piece of paper. Now, when I say that, there is obviously slight caveats to following the piece of paper, in that sometimes there are choices. I do all of them. I'm a sad individual. But it is the principle that there is only really sticking a pin in it, left over right or right over left. That's your choices. So in theory, it's kind of hard to screw it up. In practice, really easy. The key part is not to get too cut up when it goes wrong to start with, because you can undo it. Just like you can undo crochet and knitting, you can undo lace making by doing the reverse. And you will make mistakes. Guaranteed. And obviously, at the start, probably quite a few. But it's something that can make, in the end, it is something that you can make in the end many different things, and have quite different looks to it without a lot of change. So it's almost like, I was going to say, it's almost like tatting, because obviously in tatting you make double stitches. That's it, really. You occasionally leave gaps between them, and you occasionally use the loop that was formed by leaving a gap between them in the last thing to join it to the current thing. But realistically, it's kind of the same stuff. And this kind of applies in that, much as I've got different shapes and things on here, most of it is built up of the same move. So these little bits down the side here are spiders, but they're partial spiders because some of these legs aren't splayed out. But when you join them together in the way that I have, you get this kind of snake. We have a thing here in that I can't say snakes without kind of wanting to go, I'm a snake. And if you don't know what that is, go Google I'm a snake on YouTube. I hate that guy because he lives rent free in my head. But it forms like a wave, and you can do different colours. Now, one of the things that is slightly harder to do, say, in lace making versus knitting, is that if, for example, I wanted from this spider onwards for the next one and the next 5 to be red, right? The join is going to show because it's a lot more open. But see, I'm not alone. But so some things you can change colour. So if I was making this diamond shape and I wanted that to be red, I can add or change usually add is the easier answer. Add a pair here so that the pair that goes backwards and forwards to, say, fill it up as hang on. There you go. This one will do. So you can make green squares. This it doesn't show so well on camera, but this is white with green squares. It was a pus green. It's not a great green, but you can make green squares because you add a pair here, you take them out at the bottom. Oh, we have way prettier than that, don't worry. So it is one of those kind of weird things, is that you can add colours. You can do quite a bit with colour work, but as a generic rule, lace is kind of, I won't say best one colour, but it is traditionally one colour. So you like pretties. Well, this is my pretty pot, and on this one I have the world's smallest bookmark. I mean, look how small it is. And you can't really see it. Hang on, let me zoom in. There you go. So that is the world's smallest bookmark. And I really liked that, so I need to zoom out because, well, the next one's bigger. So hang on. But I want to be closer than I was. There you go. So let me move this one out of the way. I was going to give this one away as a Christmas present, but I couldn't. I liked it too much. So, yeah, I really was going to give it away for Christmas. When I was making it, I was like, yeah, I'll give it away. Well, that's kind of what they're supposed to be, so that's always a good thing. But I'm kind of against the tassel end. I don't like that idea, but it is kind of hard to make the end look like the start. I will tell you that. But don't get me wrong, there's tons of mistakes in this. Do not believe that this is the height of perfection. I mean, for example, why is that hole big? There's a few things like that around the place. I mean, that was just the first one that leapt out, it does. But at the same time, when you've tried, as I'm sure you will find out, as you've tried to make it as perfect as you can, and then the moment you look at it, you kind of go, well, not that, and you kind of go, well, I balls that up then, didn't I? So I really liked this, and I still do. I mean, again, it's not something I would ever use, which is a bit of a shame, because when I read on a Kindle, so don't really need no bookmark for that. But hence I was going to give it away, because, I don't need it, so I'll give it away. Nah, I wanted to keep that. So what we're making here, let me zoom out a bit, donk, is this. We are making a 1 metre long strip of lace. And there's a reason for this. So there's the big one that you can kind of see here, and there's the smaller one. I understand that, but as a dyslexic, I like my Kindle. But we are making metre long strips because we're going to join them together, and we're going to make a neck curtain. Now, originally, I was going to do it, I'm sure as you'll understand, as a granny square style piece of work, in that I was going to make loads of squares and join them together. But the further I got on, the further I realised that with all the best will in the world, I wasn't going to like it. Not because it was hideous, just as a neck curtain, the joins of the squares would be a bit much. So we did a lot of work, and she looks around for it. Is that it? Oops, don't know what that was. Somewhere around here, in my pile of stuff, hang on, because I do have a pile of stuff here. This should be in here, surely. Oh, that's where that went. It's not in that pile of cloth. Somewhere, and not to hand right now, which is a little bit concerning, but not too concerning. Those who know me will understand why it's not too concerning. Under here. Dog, you're in the way, my man. You are distinctly... Oh, there, that must be it. There it is. There it is. So, we did an experiment. First of all, let me show you what the squares used to look like. So, the squares used to look like this. And I was quite happy with them. They're nice squares. I liked the squares. But there was a problem, as I say, with the idea of joining of the squares, in that it would have a very, very solid join line. So we started an experiment, and the experiment went like this. Made a strip, made another strip, joined the strip, and initially this join really was quite spectacular. And at this point we knew we were going to change to strips, because this join is not as hard. In the, if I hold it up to the camera a bit, you'll see that there's gaps between it. So it was not a harder line as the joining of the squares would be. Based on that, we made a small refinement and did this one. But as you can see, there looks to be a bit of a line and almost like a wider hole on one side. So to fix that, we did it on both sides, and on camera, depending of the angle, see here, it's not overly noticeable, but here it looks a bit bolder. But it is quite a subtle thing. Now, the reason it looks bolder is because, well, it is, frankly, because what you have is twisted pairs forming a loop, twisted pairs forming a loop, pushed together, and a third thread wound round them. So these ones are in fact 3 threads, whereas all the others are 2. Now, you can do it as one, but you have to use a completely different technique, and the completely different technique for making the lace portion is far more prone to screwing it up. And when you've got to make like 7 meters of the stuff, wasn't in the mood. So we decided to stick with this. So this is the join. We practiced it a couple more times, but this was our general palette of experiment, and it didn't take as long as you might think. And we kind of auditioned, was the word I used, a number of motifs, and I put it out to the internet because I'm terrible at making decisions, And they basically voted for this one and this one. Personally, I was up for this one because it's very subtle, and one of these. Didn't want the Eye of Sauron, which you can't quite see off the bottom here. Let me shunt it up a bit. So there's the Eye of Sauron here. Didn't really want that. Some of these could have worked, but I really was hoping it would kind of... I mean, part of me wanted one of those, but to be honest, there's a reason why I put it up on the internet as free for grabs as to which one I did. This is going to go in one of my windows. And if I come out of my bedroom in the morning, the window is next to the stairs, kind of just over here. So I will, while asleep, walk past it in its direction. So it will be in my field of vision. And then I'll walk down the stairs. As I go to bed, I come up the stairs and I walk back towards my bedroom. It'll be behind me and I won't be looking at it. So pretty much, it could look terrible and I probably won't notice. And so height of perfection is, while desired, I am not going to beat myself up for not achieving. There are mistakes in strip number 1. There is a mistake in this strip, to be honest. But it is... They're not hideous mistakes. They're not, you know, like a big gaping hole like this or anything. They are arguably minor mistakes that I can live with. And especially when it's not like it's going to be next to my desk and I'm going to be staring at it all day, right? So with that in mind, I am forgiving myself. And it is something hard to do as a crafter, is to live with your mistake. Because what's all we do is look at them. But I am forgiving myself, and I will be making an awful lot of this strip because, and to be fair, my normal viewers will tell you, I have no expectation of you guys to want to watch the making of my neck curtain because, frankly, it is kind of repetitive. You know, whether it was the squares or whether it was this. Well, because, you know, there's only so much left over right and right over left that, you know. But they come along usually because, you know, we built up a bit of a friendship kind of thing. And we yak about all sorts of things. And get easily distracted. And this is where we're at. So, we do try to, we do talk about lace occasionally, but to be honest, most of it is chatting while I work. And so the conversation is less about lace, more about life in general. And I know a number of people take the time while I stream to work on their own craft. It kind of it's a bit like a virtual get-together, but without having to kind of all be on camera and share, right? So people use it as a reminder to do their own stuff and craft along with me. And some of the people do not craft at all. They just come because they're nice. And we accept all crafting varieties. Don't think he's here, but we've got a rope maker, we've got knitters and spinners and lace makers, and I don't think we've got any other weavers yet. I don't think we've got any other weavers, but we've got people who make cross stitch. We've got that come along and, you know, when they can. And so today's Thursday. Yeah, it is one of those things is that we all need a day where you sit there and go, today is not the day. Today is not the day to be busting my butt, striving for, you know, the next 3 inches or whatever it is, or, you know, next motif or whatever, any of that. So, you know, there are times when you have to sit there and say, I am, yeah, I'm going to sit on the couch, I'm going to watch shitty TV, I'm going to hug the dog or the cat or, you know, read a book. I'm gonna be a hermit. No, I'm a hermit at the best of times, but I'm gonna veg. I'm gonna be a carrot, and I'm going. You know, if I use a whole IQ today, that's an IQ I overspent on, right? I need my body to remember to breathe. I need to make sure I don't, I go to the toilet when I need to. I'll eat and drink, and that's kind of it. It's kind of takeout day, it's veg day, it is the do the utterly least possible. Now, whether you can have one a week, you do it once every few weeks, we all need those. We all need a day where your aim is to do literally nothing. It's good for the soul, because we do live in a society. Well, exactly. It's. I do find that one of the problems I have is that, like today, I. Oh, you have to do a bit of things, but you try not to, right? Is that I find video games are usually the things that I get down to doing, or I also write video games, so in my spare time, very slowly, lose interest in them, start a new one, get halfway through it, and I'm pissed off with that now. But I enjoy fiddling with it, and like a lot of crafting, isn't that half the fun? If you enjoy what you're doing, it doesn't matter whether you use it at the end of it. So, I do find that one of the biggest problems I have is that Monday to Thursday, because I work 9 to 5 kind of thing, by the time I've sat down, hugged dog, walked dog, done all of that, sat down for streaming, done some streaming, started the upload to YouTube, it's bedtime. And then I'm straight up in the morning, going to work, repeat, rinse and repeat. And I do struggle with that. But tomorrow, I stream at a different time. So I started streaming tonight about 8 o'clock because I was late, right? Normally I stream sort of 7 to 8. My times in my schedule are the window of starting, not the I will necessarily only stream for kind of moment. But on Friday afternoons, I start at 2 o'clock because where I work, we've done extra hours during the week, which allows us to start, and we have like Friday afternoon off. And so instead of starting at say 9, I don't ever start at 9, I always start at 8, but if you started at 9, you'd have to work till 2. But if you get out of your pit and for work for 7, you get to walk off at 12, which means you get the entire afternoon. So all those things, like I used to do things like go shopping and doctor's appointments, whatever, because of course all dentists who are only like Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, you can do all of those things in a Friday afternoon without having to take time off. And because I'm not doing those things, I decided I'd stream. I then, just to counteract the fact that I streamed at 2 o'clock in the afternoon my time, on Saturday night, I tend to do a really late night stream. So I would start in about 3/4 of an hour. Part of this is so that the American counterparts can have a more US time friendly stream. But it also opens it up to a whole different range of people. So, obviously I've got evenings our time like now. So it's, 9:15 here in the UK. So, anyone who can make those times, so generally Europeans, that's great. But then Friday afternoon catches either people before they go to work or people in Australia even, potentially, if they want to stay up a bit late. If they're up late and they kind of see it starting at 10, they might watch a bit. It opens up for people who can't normally make my daytime stuff. And then Sunday I'm back to, I do another kind of afternoon stroke evening one, just because, well, whenever, really. But I do find that during the week I can struggle with the constant work stream, and then you're like, I need to sleep. But at the same time, I find it difficult. It's not that I don't want to stream, but sometimes I'm just a bit too tired. So I do randomly skip some. I tried to post in my Discord to say I'm not streaming. But like yesterday, for example, I meant to, but I fell asleep. So I didn't. But, you know, as I'm not kind of, you know, Mr. Beast and in it for the money, just as well, frankly, it doesn't bother me if I'm not exactly feeding the algorithm. I mean, I do get a bit upset if I feel like I'm talking to nobody, because, well, what's the point? But this is more for me. I am doing this as my video diary of me doing this. And I've lost my marbles a couple of times on stream through frustration and stress and because it's all been going a bit Pete Tong. But we've gone off on various side adventures. We've, as I say, we did the big adventure of because those 6 panels that I showed you earlier, that is the width of my window. That is the width of the actual window pane of my window. So I am doing 7 strips, just to confuse you. So that A, it overlaps a bit at the edge, but B, also it's symmetrical, so I can go odd, even, all the way across. So it's symmetrical, which is always good, slightly pleasing to the eye. Couldn't be bothered to make them thinner because that would mean changing stuff. So I just decided to go for 7. But it's going to be a long time before I get to the end. It is not a speed sport. There are women who kind of go, I love my inkle looms. The guy who I got my inkle looms from, he whose inkle loom have you got? You got an Ashford, right? Okay. I had, and I just realised I've lost his email address actually, because I lost the contents of my mailbox. Ah, I know a man. Let me find his details, hang on. Hang on, let me find you my man. And then I'll remember what his name is. Why is it you can never find shit when you want it? There it is. Dale's Looms. Let me find you. So, do not be put off by the fact that it is a UK URL if you are not in the UK. He does ship worldwide. Now he sells 2. He sells a big one and a small one. I encouraged him to make the small one. So, for example, this picture with the little hearts on it, it's my photograph. That was mine. I took a picture of him to show him it in use, and he was very happy. So yeah, he makes custom ones, so you can make it longer, shorter, taller, fatter, whatever you like. Now, that little inkle loom does make, I think it's 5 or 6 meters worth of actual bands. I've got a big one and 2 small ones. You can have different size pegs. As you can see, he's made like short normal pegs, medium pegs and long pegs. You can also have custom pegs. One guy who bought a loom off him after I kind of said, have you tried talking to this guy? Got 12-inch long pegs for his inkle loom, so he could make really, really wide. I'm not so sure that I would say that's a bit long, frankly, but he'll make longer and fatter pegs. He will. This was something else I encouraged him to do, which is he's put the peg down through the middle of the post, to make them a bit stronger. So we've had many conversations about that. Hello, hello. How's Naughty Cult doing? That's a good thing, my man. That's a good thing. Um, yeah, that's definitely a good thing. I mean, I had a really bad migraine over the weekend, and felt like death a lot. Um, I I still have it to an extent. I am aware of it lurking, a bit like you're aware there's someone standing behind you, kind of lurking, but that it's not actually kind of dragging me down. It's just waiting to pounce, kind of thing. But it is. I think it's kind of the weather for it, because it suddenly got cold over here after all, and you're not alone. Guy at work, his wife was off. Well, she was supposed to be working, but I did love how he said it. My wife's working from home today. I think she's asleep. Well, and she ain't really working now, is she? But she had a headache. So, it does seem that there seems to be kind of headaches doing the round. And I'm pretty confident it is because the weather's changed quite as quick as it did. I mean, obviously, this time of year it does normally get darker, wetter, colder, but, it seems to have gone from almost summer weather to normal for this time of year in about 2 days. So, I think there's quite a few headaches doing the round there, Naughty Celt, so don't worry. But sorry to hear you feel crappy, because, well, life's crappy enough without adding headaches to it. Yeah, we did. We had kind of chunks of rain rather than raindrops. And we've had, it's been cold, wet, miserable, you know, and it you know, it didn't really, you know, it's been brighter this afternoon, but it's still rained, it's still windy, it's still cold, it was still horrible. So it's been a pretty sad, miserable, wretched day. Um, and you know, as I was talking to one of the guys before I left work today, you know, he was saying, "Oh, you know, I hope the weather's better down there," and I went, "No, no, whatever your weather is, honey, no." It was one of those kind of moments. It's the, yeah, I'm sure it could possibly be worse than this, but not really, no. But I am being told by Sir Paws here that I have done enough lace making for today, and that his hug requirement is not being met, and that he's being sad about it now. Because I've turned down his requests gently for a while now, and Mr. Paws is sad because, well, he's feeling hard done by. So let me box these up. 1, 2, 5, 6, 7. Don't come up. But as I was saying earlier, let me show you a little bit better. I'm trying to get used to the heavier bobbin because the little pokey crochet hook on the end and the bigger spindle in the middle can hold so much more thread that this will last a few motifs. This kind of doesn't. So I've got these two, and when I joined this one to it, I screwed it up, inevitably. It's the story of my life. Oh look, you know, there's only so many ways you can join it. So either I joined it to the wrong side, and it should have been that side, or it should have been that way up, and it wants to twist. But as long as I join it to this one, it will hold it, and this will rotate round, because this one kind of comes here like this. And I got to remember to join the last one to that one, but done it all with this blue one and this heavier pink one, and I've ordered another one of these heavy ones so that I have a pair, because obviously when you're doing something in a pair, it's always easier if they're the same feel. If you've ever had like knitting needles or anything like that, if you have like one really long wooden one and a short metal one, it just doesn't feel kind of right. So it's nice to have pairs, and I do like this one because, well, it's quite easy to do all the stuff, whereas this one you have to wind it on like this, kind of in hand, and it takes fucking forever. But I am finally getting the knack, well, more of the knack. I'm not going to say I've got the knack, but I am finally getting used to having a shuttle and doing things. So, for example, for my next bit, my biggest problem I have is they love twisting and mating themselves together. But for this next bit, I need to wind that around my finger like that. No. Yeah, sure. Yeah. Oh, little balls of Perry fur. In case you want to meet the kittens, they're on our Discord. So, you know, I'm getting better at the whole kind of having a shuttle thing now. I'm still a bit of a cack-handed moron with it. Do not get me wrong, but I'm getting there. Much like the bobbins, I still find it frustrating that you constantly seem to make them longer and shorter. Because right now this is too long, and it's kind of annoying. It'll get shorter, but not much. Whereas the bit round my finger is too short, and I need to make it longer, and you know that gets complicated because you try not to twist them all together, and but I am getting the hang, and so I do think that there is scope. New bitches! Gotta go see the kitties. Hang on. Gotta go see the kitties. Gotta go see the kitties. Because Kitty's cute. I mean, I'm not a cat owner. I probably wouldn't have cats. Oh, dear me, they are cute. Let me show you this. Look at the little kitties. Oh, little kitties. Sleepy little black kitty. Little grey kitty. Oh, I like the yin-yang effect of the kitties. Oh, little kitty poos. What time's your vet appointment? You got long to wait? Or have you? Because Black Kitty is sick. Both kitties are not well, but Black Kitty is sicker and needs to go back to Mr. Vet. So, was the discussion earlier for those who were not around. I don't just naturally ask, hey, when are you taking your animal to the vet? it has history. 5. So I am getting the hang of this. It's just a little bit weird still. But, you know, when you've got the right lengths on it, I can get a bit of speed up on it. I'm not going to say good speed, but I can get a speed up on it. Hang on, 3, 6, 8, there you go. That's that done. And then now we need to do this one. And you see now this is far too short, so we need to make this a bit longer. Like that. Yeah. Well, I think the key point was that the black one's sicker than you thought, potentially. Or not, you know, not doing so well at this time. But yeah, poor little kitties. They, you know, they're only little. Not that anyone deserves to be sick, you understand. But you know, like everything, you know, if you're found and you're sick and you're homeless and you've had a hard time, you just don't need it all at once. No one nowhere needs that, you know, and no one nowhere deserves that. Yeah, poor little man. Poor little man. As I say, I have utter sympathy for him. Poor little soul. It is kind of sad. Oh no. Cone of Doom. Doom collars. No animal in the world likes a Doom collar. I'm trying to do this mostly on camera, so Yeah, if they need anything. No, but the problem I've always had when you've got more than one is that no, he doesn't lick it off because he's got the coma. No, his friends do that for him, you know. Which is why when I had these two neutered, I had them done at exactly the same time. So they both felt equally shit. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, because what I didn't need was, you know, dog A has neutering and cone of doom for a couple of weeks kind of thing. And then just as dog A is done, dog B gets done. So now I have another dog headbutting me in the back of the legs with a cone of doom. And you know, someone else spending my entire night and day stopping them from licking each other. And so when they were both feeling crappy, I did do the surgical kind of romper thing, which was actually fairly successful, except for him because he kept managing to pee on his, but you know, which was slightly irritating, but not deliberately. He wasn't like, you know, incontinent or anything. He just went out in the garden with it kind of hoiked up, and well, he'd shake, rattle, rate and roll, and then it would be down back near the offending problem and get wet. So that was a thing. But yeah, it is very difficult when you've got two, because well, they will help each other. And even if it's not a pair, so for example, Rory and Amy are brother and sister, even if it's, you know, a considerably older pet and a smaller one or a newer one, you know, that they've, you know, they're new friends or whatever, they'll still help each other. That you know, they're not proud, they'll do that. And, you know, you end up with situations like I had with Maddie, where Maddie hated her cone, of course she did. So when I was there, I used to take the cone off. And she was a good girl. She lay next to me, resting quietly and comfortably, because she could now, without her bucket on. Ding dong went the doorbell. I answered the doorbell, turned round. Why are you... And I was kind of like, Maddie, what the... And then I realised she was standing on the stairs, looking at me like I'd curled up a turd in the middle of my hallway, like, you know, in front of my grandmother or something, right? It was that look of utter horror, because of course I looked at her. What I didn't look at her was her feet, and by her feet were little sausages. It was her stomach. When she got spayed, she had a spay scar about this long. She'd managed to pop all the stitches, and literally her stomach was now lying on my stairs. The panic that ensued in my house was epic. None of my flipping neighbours were in, because I was almost in bra and knickers, running around, you know, banging on my neighbours' doors, I was actually wearing a t-shirt and a pair of shorts, but believe me, it looks about the same on me, and banging on. None of the buggers were in, and so I couldn't have someone sit with her in the car. I put a t-shirt round her and kind of clipped it together, and barefoot as I stood, grabbed my car keys, the dog, kind of abandoned all care, pelted off like my life depended on it down to the vets, and I've got her and I'm clasping her to my chest to try and keep her stomach kind of in her chest cavity. Well, you know what I mean, in the stomach area, but inside the dog. Yeah. Well, the bit that slightly annoyed me was, I don't know, let's say Maddie's spay had cost me £200. Putting Maddie back together cost me nearly £6. Because, of course, they had to wash out all of her innards, they had to make it sterile again. It was not an easy job. So Um, bastard animal. Um, yeah, I think if Maddie hadn't opened it up to the extent that she had, it wouldn't have been. But the vet actually, because what I didn't realise at the time, I mean, obviously I knew I was kind of panicking a little bit, because, well, duh. Um, but it was only once I kind of handed her over and kind of took a look to the fact that I'm standing there barefoot in shorts, which I do not do in public, a vest top, t-shirt, and nothing else to my name in my hand other than my car keys. I realised how shaky I now was because I was in shock. And they did say to me, if I had not rushed like I did, it probably would have killed her. The shock could have killed her because, although there was no blood loss, not a drop of blood was spilt, not one. But the infection and everything else could have taken hold, and I nearly lost her. It was the same. It was a bit like when Charlie, who's my icon, Charlie decided one winter, and it was like minus something out there, and we'd gone for a walk, and there was this little stream. Now, normally the stream's almost like the size of this thread. It's this little kind of trickle of piss that runs under a bridge, and the bridge is like 6 foot high, right? You can walk under there without the frankest need to duck, and the dogs like going and standing in it because it's barely over their paws, right? Well, we went down on this day, and the bridge couldn't be seen. The river had risen up that far. And Charlie, who loves water, leapt in. Well, so first of all, it's minus something moving water at quite a fast pace. It washed him away. And because it met a wire fence, so a bit like the ground stitch on here, it was one of those crossed wire fences that was kind of ground level, it kind of pushed him underneath, and he got the wrong side of the fence, and he was really struggling to try and stay not washed away. And we got him back, and of course, as I say, it was minus something. I then took him home. But I did stop by Tesco's because he seemed perfectly good. He was just like, I had an adventure, I'm great. When I got home, I realised that he was beginning to shake, so I thought, well, he is really cold, because he was cold to touch, so piled on a few blankets. You know, I sat with him, keeping him warm, acting a bit like a hot water bowl. And you'd put your hand under this, and it was roasting in there, but he was still really cold. He nearly died of hypothermia that day. If I had not taken more action, if I had not paid that much attention, and, you know, maybe continued the walk, he could have died on the walk. Because, of course, he would have stayed out in the cold being wet, and he would have got proper cold, and then, you know, it would have been another hour or so before we got home into the warm. It could have been too late. It really could. So, you know, I am very conscious of the additional effects of things on my dogs, just because, you know, I've had some unfortunate side effects in my time, and no one wants to lose a dog in such a tragic-y kind of way, right? And so, as I say, when these two, because I hadn't had them very long, and they were very young, I had to have them done slightly early because they are brother and sister, and I did not need... It is. You can't just kind of, hey, you'll be warm and you'll be fine. You have to be careful, and you have to keep a very close eye on them. So yeah, I was very, very kind of concerned for him. But as I say, because these two were a bit young for being neutered, but I didn't need puppies. Well, that's not true. I don't need puppies. I would love puppies, but I can't really justify puppies. You know, so these two got neutered at 5 months old, which is a little early. But part of the reason I did that, and I had to explain to my vets, was they were like, oh, it's very unlikely that they'll have puppies. They are. I mean, don't get me wrong, puppies. But they are a lot of work. And the problem I had with these two was that when I was a kid, my parents rescued a brother and sister pet, and they were not neutered. And, you know, we were told, oh, you know, you need to wait, you need to wait, you need to wait. So we waited. And obviously, he tried to mount her. And, well, let's just say he was successful. And 2 puppies were born. Now, originally, when she started kind of acting a bit preggers, took her down the vet and they went, oh, no, it's a phantom pregnancy. Well, yeah, 6 o'clock one, I think it was a Monday morning, Dad's phoning up vet saying, well, you better get your ass down here now because there's phantoms appearing on my bed. So, and no, and you know, I that fills me with a lot of sadness in a way, because of the 2 puppies that were born, she only had 2, but and one had 1 patch on an eye, the other one had 2, so we had Uno and Duo. No worries, you go sleep, Naughty Kelp. Go sleep, headaches off. That's always a good thing. And drink lots of water. But Uno had a hole in the heart and would go blue every time she drank an ate. And I loved Uno with all my heart. Now, it's not that I hated Duo, do not get me wrong. But I really loved Uno. She was really, really nice. She was kind of like my little bud. And we had to have her put down, which left Duo. Now, don't get me wrong, Duo was a real freaking character. I've got a picture of her somewhere. You know, when a dog who's about, you know, this tall stands with a foot on an adult dog's bone going, this is mine, and growling, it was the funniest shit. And I lay on the floor and I took a picture of her. I loved her, and my parents gave her away, which was the right thing to do in a way, but still sad for me. So I didn't want to relive that experience. I did not want to have sickly puppies because inbreeding is a bad idea. I didn't want any of that. And much as they would be cute little puppies, I'm sure little baby Rory's and Amy's would be cute. I don't need inbred puppies. The world doesn't need more puppies. We have plenty of dogs needing homes without breeding more of them. So I did say to them, with all due respect, you know, having lived with a dog that succeeded, I do not want that risk. And Amy also had a bit of a hernia, so they agreed and did the do's. And I've never looked back, to be honest. I mean, it was a bit early, but I had them done early December and they were born at the end of June. So it was close. I mean, I think they would have rather waited till the new year, just to be on the safe side. But I think because, you know, I just didn't need baby Rory's and baby Amy's. I mean, if you want to give me a handful of puppies, oh dear God, I'll love a handful of puppies. You know, if anything would ever cheer me up in the world, it's a pit full of puppies. You know how like you have ball pits? If you gave me a pit full of puppies, I know, he's a good boy. He is a good boy. So this is Rory. He is a very gentle little man, but he is very stubborn at the same time. He's like rolling slow magma. He is very much like having rolling magma in that he will get what he wants. He will be where he wants. But he won't... Yeah, whereas she's the flying alien face hugger. She'll be sitting on the floor, the next thing you know, she's wrapped around your head. And she's a little bit much in that sense, in that if she just calmed the fuck down, she'd be a lot more pleasurable to hug. Now, it's not that I don't love her, but it's a lot easier to love a dog who will lie there and be fairly still and sit on your lap and be cute. The dog who is already planning to get down before all 4 feet are up is a little bit much. Yeah, and I, you know, don't get me wrong. I know that my dogs, if I brought home a cat, my dogs would see a live squeaky toy which can also be an issue, let's truly be honest. Because next door have got cat, and although I can say cat, look, see, no real kind of this, no panics going on. But on one occasion, there's a stray cat around here, which, frankly, if they eat it, I'm not going to be overly sad about. But the next door's cat, bad form. Do not eat neighbour's cat, right? And neighbour's cat decided to saunter across my garden, my back garden, with the door open, and the dogs watching it. Well, dogs looked into live squeaky toy, and what I heard was whack as it impacted onto the fence. I know it made it out, but I wasn't sure to start with. Because all I heard was whack and dogs, because they will occasionally tell each other off. So I heard a kind of a whack, kind of from the dogs, and it was like, oh shit, have I got to go round to my neighbours and do like the biggest grovel of all time? But no, cat was alive and well. But basically the squabble was the dogs fighting because they both were disappointed they didn't succeed. Do you mind not licking my hand, please, Rory? You know it annoys me, little man. You do. Stop licking my hand. But at the same time, especially if you had a small dog, but it is, at the same time, next door's cat is generally really fearful. She loves being in my front garden, but she's very fearful in general of people. I am one of the most tolerated people they know. She will at least pass me without fleeing like I'm trying to stab her in the back, right? You've licked my pillow, you miserable animal. But she is a very pretty pussycat, but she's also, I think the sad part is when I went to buy this house, my neighbour had bought a kitten. By the time I got to move in, which was a handful of months later, little kitten was no more, and she took it very, very hard. She then met my two dogs, and because I had two at the time, and they got to know my dogs, and they loved my dogs to the point they then got two dogs. They got two sisters, but they fought, well, like these two do, only they weren't really prepared for it. And it got a bit much. And I am going to say it can be very tough at times, because she's got scars, I've got the scars to prove it, right? But, it got a bit much for them. So in the end, they had to part with one. And sadly, it was the one I liked the most. Isn't that always the way? Because it's not my house, not my dogs. I don't get a say. But their little dog, again, isn't great with a lot of people. Absolutely adores me. Well, because I'm a dog person. I mean, at Christmas, my neighbour was absolutely trying not to wet herself. I'd gone round to, give them their Christmas card. She was like, come in, hubby's gone out. Not that I don't get on with hubby at all, because I do. But hubby's gone out. I'm kind of bored. Come in for a chat. Yeah, okay. So I went in and we were having a chat, and the dog kind of came in and looked at me and went, yay! And it bought me a toy, so I got on the floor and I played tug with it. Now, I'm not saying I had one hand on it and we were playing it. No, I'm on all fours, growling and pulling with my teeth, right? And the dog had the time of its life. She took a video because she said, my husband's never going to believe this. And I was like, yeah, you can take that. You can video that if you want. I mean, it's not the first time. It won't be the last time. I've done it with my dogs. I'll do it with friggin' any dog, frankly. I've done it with some quite big dogs. So yes, but her dog loves me because I'm always a bit over the top, and it's kind of like, hello, Mrs. Dog, how are you? And she's yes, I'm great, and she'll tell me all about her woes and try and lick my brain out through my nose and things that dogs do, and it's. But the other day, must have been a couple of months ago now, as I said, there's a stray cat round here that if my dogs ate it, what a shame, right? And part of the reason I'm like that is it bullies next door's cat, right? And I was sitting in here and I heard a cat fight right under my window. And I went out there to protect next door's cat. And obviously because she doesn't like me enough to come to me, but I saw off the other cat and she kind of looked at me with that cheers bro and ran home. And so I did send my neighbours a message, you might want to check her over because that cat was betting on her. I did manage to stop it, but obviously cat did not want me to check it out afterwards. And it was really funny because a couple of days later I was talking to my neighbour and the cat all but came up to me. Not quite, but she kind of, if this was me, she kind of, I'll stand near you. You can't quite reach me from there, but I'm going to stand near you. And she goes, she really trusts you. And I went, she probably realises that I defended her and that she can feel safe because she knows I will. She doesn't have to like me. She doesn't, it's not, I'm expecting her to leap into my arms for a hug. But, maybe I've gone up a small peg in her estimation in that I came out ready to boot the other cat, and I ran after it to make sure it went away. And she probably thought, okay, she's on my side. Okay, maybe she's not so bad. Still don't entirely trust her, but, it's getting better. And so, again, I'm, one of the few people that can go anywhere near her house, near her pets. So I do get on exceptionally well with my neighbours. My neighbours are the loveliest people. So it is kind of... But, I was kind of surprised because obviously they got a dog when they already had a cat. And some dogs will not adjust to living with a cat. You can't just expect... Now, admittedly, the dog they got was a puppy, so... It is, of all the things, it is the one that is most likely to be trainable. But at the same time, I mean, to be fair, the dog's about half the size of a cat. So, I think the dog would come off second hand if it took on the cat. But the cat is a bit of a wuss. So, I do think it could be a bit of it would be a horrible scenario. But yeah, my next door neighbours are lovely, though. Absolutely lovely. What? Anyway, I am going to call it a day. It's nearly 10 o'clock. Well, it's pretty much 10 o'clock. I shall be back in about 16 hours when my work day is done and I have slept. And we will do more. We are at inch number 4 pretty much. I mean, not quite. I'm not going to mark it off as done yet, but it is getting there. This is not straight, What else? But we are basically at inch number 4. You can't quite see it. Hang on, let me move this down. If you look carefully, it says inch number 4 there. So we are kind of close because there's a few below. There's like a couple of pins above. It probably is inch 4, but I would feel slightly wrong claiming inch 4 at this point. I'd like to be a little bit beyond inch 4 before claiming I've made it inch 4. But it is 3.999 recurring, of inches. I've done pretty piss poor this week, frankly. So for the last week, I think I've managed, a couple of inches. And that really is very disappointing. But it's not been a best week health-wise, or work-wise for that matter. Because I had a 1-to-1 yesterday, and I strongly disagree. But what can I do? Manager has said I've got a goal and objective to do something, so I have to now do it, whether I think it's a stupid thing or not. Well, yeah, not overly in the mood for that, but there we go. So I think that was part of the reason I was so tired, was because I, you know, endured my one-to-one because I'm not good with people, and and I do find it hard work because the people I work with have no knowledge of what I do. And despite working there for the best part of what, well, we're nearing the end of October now, so best part of 11 months, about 10 and a half, 10 and three quarter months, they still don't really know what I do. And so it is solely my responsibility to be the source of intelligence on the matter, and sometimes that's just a bit much. Especially as I am not exactly a people person. I am not the best at training people things. I mean, I could show people how to do lace making, I could show people how to do knitting, but when it comes to work, there is so much, because this is kind of factual. To do this stitch, you must achieve this, you must do this kind of knot, you must cross them like this. It's very factual. With a lot of the work stuff, it's the, well, these are the rules and regulations, these are the people who are involved. If this happens in this, if that's in this, it becomes more like a computer programming, that there's like 20 sheets of if this is true but not that, or if that is true and not this, and if that and that is also true but not on this time and not for these people, and all of this kind of stuff, is that it is very complicated. And although it's factual in my head, when I explain it to other people, if they don't get it, I'm kind of out of ideas of how to explain it, because, well, it's a bit like I said, if you do left over right, that's a cross. What is there to discuss about this? I don't care if you don't understand why it's called a cross, nor do I, who cares? But that's what they've decided to call it, right? And there is a bit of that. It's the, if that's what the instructions say, just do it. Don't fight it. Google it a bit, read up on it yourself, but just go with it. And for the most part, I think I do get frustrated because I've had to work at, pretty much all my working life, I've had to work stuff out. And then everyone else seems to come along and expect me to have written War and Peace, you know, level of instructions on how to do it. Well, if I can work it out, why can't you? Now, I'm not saying that everyone in the world should have to... Rory, you're just being a pain in the arse now. Come on, enough. You're knocking the table, you're kicking things. In a minute, my man. Lie down. Lie down there. And it's just kind of... Oh my goodness. Yay! Hello, hello! Hello, hello, hello! We were just discussing my life at work, so maybe not. Hello, hello, hello! Feel free to introduce yourselves, both of you. Feel free to introduce yourself. I was just showing that I'm getting the hang of my tatting thing, which is a side project. I can't say I'm an expert, but I'm slowly getting there. I mean, it's not hideous. This does look better than this one, than that one. This one was the first one. That's the next one. This is the third one. So they're getting better with each one. This is not an actual project. This is... I decided I'd make a block of 4, because I can, and call it a coaster or something, because, well, why not? So yeah, it's not exactly a project. There is no real plan for it. It is just a thing to make, and I am practicing the 2-colour thing, as you might be able to tell, because I'd made 1-colour things. Now I'm making 2-colour things. The next thing will possibly have beads on it, that kind of thing. I am working up the evolutionary scale of tatting. Now don't get me wrong, I have seen some things that are very beautiful. I'm not sure I have the patience for that. But I have been doing some of this. I've obviously got my core lace work that I have here, which we've done some of, and I need to take a photograph, so bear with me 1 second. Take a photograph thereof, because that's what we do every time, to keep a record of where we're at. That's not in the middle. Let's try that. I think that was too close. No, that'll do. Scour it for mistakes, which is the other thing we do at this point. Look for the obvious things, because we don't like to leave them if we... Because tomorrow Liz might have forgotten. So what we like to do at this point is look for mistakes, and if nothing leaps out to get us, we make the assumption that I didn't screw it up. Now that's not necessarily true, but if it doesn't leap out, because if you're not a crafty person, the one thing you cannot relate to, unless you are, is that you can make something and it will look perfectly fine. The moment you take a photograph to put on the internet, now you see all the mistakes in it. And they will sit there going, hello, waving a little flag, going, hello, hello, here I am, look, me. And they're you know, it's a bit like if you've ever bought a car. You may have seen a couple of them around, but, you know, you decide to buy a car. So you go to a shop, you pick a car, and you go, I like that one. I haven't seen many of those, but I have seen a few, but not many. By the time you drive off with it, everyone and their dog has got one. And I mean everyone and their dog. And you're like, but 3 minutes ago, none of you people had one. Where have you all come from? And mistakes are exactly that. Before you take the photo, you look at it. Oh, I've seen a mistake. I've seen a mistake. How hard is that to fix? Not too bad, actually. On a grand scale of fixing. So, we need you. And I will show you the mistake in a minute. Hang on. And we need some of you, but not all of you. So we need a couple of you. Actually, screw it. I'll you all up there. Now, some of you have been naughty and decided to stick around there. You've come undone, so let's do you up a bit. Right, so let me zoom in and show you the faux pas. Now, it's only a little faux pas, and to be honest, you would have a job to see it if I didn't point it out. If you look, follow the end of my pin. This, if I do it with the bobble end, it'll be easier for you, because that's how hard it is to see. If you look just above the bobble, that pair that comes from this pin here to this pin here, because bear in mind the pins aren't straight, isn't crossed over, and it should be. And it freaking should be. So what we need to do is undo the last row on this side. So undo this. Now, the one thing I have discovered about lace making is that when you come to undo things, if you did cross twist, you now need to do twist cross to undo it, right? So if you do cross twist, you need to kind of do cross twist to undo it. So let me explain. Normally to do a half stitch, you do cross in the middle and 2 twists together. Well, now you're going to do 2 crosses and 1 twist. So you undo it by basically doing the reverse of what you did the first time, and which makes it nice, fairly easy to undo from that point of view. Grabbing the right pin can be an issue because I can't see said pins because they're all a bit hard to spot. Right, so that's that. Then we need to undo this, so we need to Undo this one. What I actually need to do is, using what I can see on there, I want to raise up that pin, because that, not that you can see that I raised it up, but this one here is the pin in question, and it helps me know what I'm aiming for. So undo that, undo this. So, as you can see, I undid this one and it didn't, if you know what I mean. So, now we have to work out why it didn't, because it should have done. Had an extra twist in it. Stop coming undone, you piece of crap. So this is the final one to undo, because there is the pin in question. And this needed a twist on it, and that is all that was wrong with it. And now I get to redo them. The biggest problem, the biggest fear I always have of going back and fixing is that I will go back and fix, but in going back and fixing, that I will introduce more mistakes than I fix. And this is where it's kind of weird how this happens, because, you know, as you will notice with this ground stitch, that it's the same crap every time. It is cross, twist, pin. Just trying to find the hole. Cross, twist, move on to the next one. And so when doing that, I mean, how is it so hard? You know, how do you mess this up? Well, the answer is apparently very easily, and that is one of the things that I do think is kind of harder to explain, because it shouldn't be easy to mess it up, but it kind of is. And so, you know, you kind of I just don't want to make more mistakes by trying to fix one and end up with two, you know. I don't need that in my life. No, that's not the thing I wanted to do. Do that one. So yeah, that's always my woe for the for doing this. And yes, I have done slightly different pins this time round, just because I can. So let's take these two with you. But this is part of the reason we take the photo and look at the end, right? Is so that we don't leave it for tomorrow, Liz, because tomorrow Liz might forget. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So now, with any luck, we have unscrewed it up. Well, we certainly unscrewed up the mistake that we had. We may have made more mistakes by now, but we have unscrewed up this mistake. And we are ready for tomorrow. So, as I say, I will be back in 15 and a 3/4 hour kind of thing, sort of mark, around 2 o'clock UK time. Let me go looking for this. So, let me go have a thing and see who we can share you with today. So, you're playing a game. We're all watching Path of Exile. Yeah, everyone else is watching Path of Exile. I'm going to hand you over to a lovely lady called the Travelling Tatter, because she is a really, really nice lady. And she is a god amongst ladies. She's the lady who encouraged me to have a go. And although I don't often get to watch too much of her streams, hi Mickey Ketsme. Sorry, we're kind of packing up today, but there we go. I don't get to watch too many of her streams because she starts quite late. But I think we're going to hand over to her, and life will be cool. So I'm going to click on that over there, and then I'm going to click on this, and I'm going to click on this. So we will be heading over, and hopefully you will give her much love and enjoyment, and she'll show you how tatting's actually supposed to be done. Speak to you all again soon. Bye bye.